Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to Unit 9. Let me first say congratulations on making it through Unit 8. I know for some of you that was a chore. Hopefully you have already done 9A. If you haven't, you're going to want to stop the video right now and do that. It's a pretty self-explanatory worksheet. You can probably do it in less than 10 minutes, but I'm going to reference the information from 9A and you're going to need it already. So if you haven't done that yet, pause, stop everything. I mean, drop what you're doing and go do 9A and then come back to this video. It'll be helpful to you and it'll get me more views on YouTube, which is what this is really all about. Let's take a look at 9B. The objective today, and I'm going to read this to you even though you know how to read, is that hopefully you'll be able to write the equation of a circle when given the important characteristics. So the center, the radius, points on the circle, stuff like that. Also that you'll be able to graph a circle when you're given the equation or given the important characteristics. So quickly, just to make sure we know some things about some things, we need to be able to define what is a radius and what is a diameter. The radius is a segment that goes from the center of the circle, a segment whose endpoints are the center and on the circle. Okay. So a segment whose endpoints are the center of the circle and on the circle. And then let's take a look at the diameter. Diameter is just a chord whose endpoints, a chord that passes through the center. Go. A chord that passes through the center. Formulas here, you guys need to know these. So for distance and midpoint, we have. So there are two formulas: distance and midpoint. I may just magically appear. I know you're impressed. I swear I didn't pause the video. That was magic. So the distance is the difference between the x's squared plus the difference between the y's squared, and it's the square root of their sum. And then the midpoint is just, and the line didn't appear as well as it should have, so let me draw that in for you. It's just the average of the two, okay? So the average, and there it is. For some reason now it appears, and now it's not. That's very interesting. It's the average of the x's and the average of the y's, okay? So there you have all that information. Describe the relationship between a radius and a diameter. We should know that the radius is half the diameter. Okay, so the radius is half of the diameter. Okay? So far, pretty simple stuff and review for us also. Let's take a look at the next page. The equation of the circle, that was all 9A. So hopefully you got that. The equation, the general form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. H and k are the points of the center, and r obviously stands for radius. So, for example, the equation of a circle with a center of negative 4, 6 and radius of 4 is x plus 4 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals 16. And again, that's review from 9A. So let's take a look. Write the equation of a circle with a center at 2, 3 and the radius of 3. So let's review. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So the x value is 2, easy enough. The y value is negative 3, so y minus a negative is y plus 3, and 3 squared is 9. Okay. Center at the origin. Well, what is the value at the origin of x and y? Well, it's 0, 0. So this would be x minus 0 squared. We don't need to say x minus 0 squared. We can just say x squared. Okay? And we don't need to say y minus 0 squared. Y minus 0 is y. Okay? So x squared plus y squared equals 81. Then it gets a little bit more complicated here. We have the center, but they tell us the diameter instead of the radius. Why? If the diameter is 12, then the radius is, you said it, 6. So this would be x plus 2 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 36. So far, so bueno. Let's take a look at the next page. Think, what if you don't know the center, but you know the coordinates for the endpoints of the diameter? How are they related? How can you find the coordinate in the center? And how can you determine the length of the radius? So, how are the points related? Well, I mean, they're the endpoints of the diameter, okay? How could you find the coordinate of the center? Well, that would be the midpoint formula. That's why we reviewed that. And how can you determine the length of the radius? Distance formula. From either point to the center is going to be the distance formula. So we use the midpoint formula right here to find the actual length, or the actual location of the center of the circle. And then we would use either point, either endpoint, and then obviously the center, to find the length of the radius. I suppose you could also just find the length of the diameter and cut it in half. Tomato, tomato at that point, but we're going to use those two formulas. So, write the equation of a circle with a center at 4, negative 1, and a point on the circle at 7, 3. So let's see. We have x minus 4, okay, so far so good, plus y plus 1 equals, well, we need the radius. We need to know what is this distance from here to here. It's too thin. I like a fat radius. I like my radius to have some girth to it. There, we can see it now. Terrific. So we need to know that distance. So we're going to use the distance formula. Okay? We're going to use the distance formula. So it's the difference between the x's squared. So that's 7 minus 4 is 9. 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 squared is 9. And then the difference between the y's squared is 4, and that squared is 16. So the distance equals the square root of 25, or 5. So the radius is 5. Okay, that doesn't look like a 5. Looks like a weird 6. Okay, so if the radius is 5, then the radius squared is obviously 25. So just one additional step, but that distance formula that we've been working on all year long comes in handy. Write the equation of a circle with endpoints of a diameter at 3, 6, and 11, 12. Well, here we're going to have to use the midpoint formula first. Okay, the midpoint formula is very simply the average of the x's and average of the y's. So 3 plus 11 is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. And then 6 plus 12 is 18, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So then we're going to, there's the beginning of our answer. We have x minus 7 squared plus y minus 9 squared equals, now we need the length of the radius. So you take either point and use the midpoint that you just found and find the length of the radius, or use the 2 points, find the length of the diameter and cut it in half. It really doesn't matter. That's a personal preference thing. I'm a midpoint guy. I like the radius. I'm just going to find one answer. So I'm going to do the square root of, and let's actually stick with our color scheme here. So the distance equals the square root of, we'll use this point because the numbers are smaller. So the difference between 3 and 7 is 4. Squared is 16. Plus the difference between 6 and 9 squared is 3. So 9, so we end up again with a distance of square root of 25, or 5. So 5 squared is 25. And there's the equation of that line. Not the equation of that circle, excuse me. Graphing equations of circles is really quite easy. You identify the center of the circle. So on this one, the center is -3 and +1. And the radius is 3. So really simply, I'm going to go to -3, 1, and I'm going to put a dot. All right? Then if the radius is 3, that's 3 units. I can't go to all of them, but I can hit the easy 4. I can go up 3, left 3, right 3, that's down, and down 3 and right 3. So then I'm left with that. And then you can sketch these. My sketching on this thing would be god awful, so I'm not going to sketch. But you could just sketch this. If you're more of a an exact person and you want to go to the store and purchase yourself a compass, you go right ahead. But I can use those 4 points to come up with a pretty good circle that fits that almost exactly. Okay? Really simple. So let's try one. Let's try 2. All right, let's do a couple more. So the center here is -3, 1, and the radius is 8. The center here is 0, 4, and the radius is the square root of 7. Okay, the square root of 7. All right, so let's take a look. We'll start over here. -3, 1 is there again. And if the radius is 8, then I'm going to go right 8. I'm going to go up 8, which goes off the grid. That's fine, because these are sketches, and I'm not worried about it. And down 8. Most common mistake here, I promise you, the most common mistake here is counting. Sad as it is to say out loud, that's the truth. So there's, evidently I went too far up on this one. I don't think my grid is drawn perfectly, but anyway, there's that circle. And then over here, the only thing that makes this hard is that what is the square root of 7? So square root of 7 is about 2.6, okay? So about 2.6. So when I draw this, I'm going to go to 0, 4. I'm going to go up 2 and like a little more than a half, and down 2 and a little more than a half, and over 2 and a little more than a half. You know, because we're just sketching these. We're not asking you for perfect answers. And then I'll actually try and draw this one. So my circle would look, yikes, something like that. When you draw yours, they don't have to be perfect circles, guys, but if it looks like a box or a square or a diamond or a kite or anything with straight edges where we don't, we have to know that you know what a circle is, all right? So make it look circly, which is a new word. The next thing we need to do is we need to understand those 4 points that we draw when we draw the circle. If I tell you the radius of a circle is 3 and the center is at -3, 4, integral just means integer, okay? I'm just asking you, on the graph, if the point is at -3, 4, if the center is at -3, 4, what are the other 4 points? Okay, what are, that point, that point, that point, and that point? What are they exactly? So, all you do is from -3, 4, if I were there, and I were to go left 3 more, because that's the radius, then I would be at -6, 4, so that's one of them. If I were at -3, 4 and I were to go right 3, I would just be at 0, 4. Okay? If I were at -3, 4 and I were to go up 3, well then I'm at -3 but up 7. And if I were at -3, 4 and I were to go down 3, I would be at -3, 1. Alright? Let's do another one. Diameter of a circle is 8, which means the radius is 4. The center is at 2, 1. So again, 2, 1, we're here. We're going to go, I like the different colors. We're going to go down 4, right 4, up 4, and left 4, and write down those 4 points. Okay, so if I'm at 2, 1, and I go right 4, then I got to go out 6, up 1. So 6, 1. If I'm at 2, 1, and I go up 4, that would be over 2, up 5 now. I added 4 to the y value. If I'm at 2, 1, and I go left 2, that takes me from 2 to negative 2, so that's negative 2, 1. And if I'm at 2, 1, and I go down 4, that would be at 2, negative 3. This has been an amazing time for me. I really enjoyed it. I like circles. Circles are fun. I promise if you didn't do 2A, you should. You need it. You need that, you need to floss, okay? Take care of your teeth. For some of you, in a few years, that's going to be all you've got left. Hopefully not, but there's a chance that your teeth are going to outlive you. I have no idea what we're talking about anymore. Enjoy the credits. See ya.